Tell us about your story, like in as short a period of time as you possibly can.
Yeah, man. So, there's really two pieces what I call to my life. We have, me growing up and being a basketball player, and then everything that happened after basketball, which is where we're at today with real estate and entrepreneurship and social media, right?
Right.
And all it really was, especially with what I spoke about today, was something that was in me when I was a kid that sparked through my childhood and my obsession with the sport of basketball just had to be translated into this new world, And it requires 100% dedication, 100% commitment, 100% discipline, and all these things that, again, we know, hey, I gotta follow the schedule. I gotta, take a look out there for deals every day. I gotta make the phone calls. I gotta put out the marketing, whatever it is that you do, yet we don't do it, right?
Yeah, where do you think you start?
Well, for me, it started just getting into the self-help world. And I think a lot of people get sucked into that and do nothing because they think motivation is self-help. That's not, right? Motivation is just temporary emotion, and you can motivate yourself with your purpose and some of the things we talked about today, right? But really, it's more about the study of the intricacies of the human being. So let's say the mind. I want to study the mind.
Yeah.
Why do we think the way we think, right? What, from a communication standpoint, what is attractive? What repels? You get what I'm saying? Our thought process.
Right.
How do we develop our thought process?
Right.
That's some of the stuff I talked about today, going back into like cultural conditioning, your upbringing,
yes,
the conscious mind, the subconscious mind. So studying some of that stuff and getting some basic books about that really is what opened the doors for me.
Tell me about like journaling for you and how that helped develop your personality.
Yeah. Well, really, how many people carry pen and paper with them nowadays? Unless they're a writer, right? Because I'm in the process of writing a couple of books right now too, which is another reason I always have those stacks of notebooks and journals with me. But I realize we don't know how to empty our cup too as human beings. And when I started putting pen to paper, I realized not only are these exercises good and effective for showing more gratitude and directing my mind towards what I want, but it's letting me get my thoughts out onto paper and just ridding me of all this excess nonsense that I have within me. Because once I started doing that, I noticed that that excessive chatter that we have in our mind started to go away.
Oh, really?
Right? Yeah, dude, because I think for a lot of people, that's like one of the biggest things is their mind. They say, well, I can't meditate because my mind is just too hyperactive.
Right.
Well, what are you doing to ease that?
Right.
Right? Are you socializing with people? Most people aren't. Write 100 things you love about yourself. And most people can't get past 5 or 10.
You're like,
right?
Yeah, but it's crazy.
I said, write 100 things you don't like about yourself. They give me 300.
Wow.
Right? So you literally, through this, will shape and rewire your mind to start seeking what you're looking for. We find what we seek, right? What you're looking for, you'll find. And for most of us, it's negative conversations, what's wrong, what's missing in the world. I brought up the news when I was talking, right? Like the news is all negative, and
always
maybe once out of 100, a little funny story about a squirrel that ran up a tree, right?
Yeah.
So it really, like, I just started having all these realizations, man, around and I just started it because I said, oh, if this is what the successful people are doing, I'll do it.
Right.
I wasn't looking at the science behind it.
Best thing to eat for your system is a wild animal.
Yeah.
So have you looked into that, or is that something?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I've had a lot of these discussions, and I ask those people, the majority of animals that you're eating, those wild animals, what do they eat? And for most of them, they don't eat other meat, they eat plants. So I say, you're getting the nutrients from the plants and then you're going to the animal. Why not go straight to the source? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the reality for most of the meat that we eat. Now, am I against eating meat? Not necessarily, because if I was in a survival situation and I got to kill the deer to eat and survive, well, so be it, I'll do it. Mm-hmm. I'm just looking to optimize my performance. Then I started studying communication, then I started studying the mind. Then I got really intrigued with that. And it just took me into this whole kind of different realm where it's like, okay, how can I maximize me and my performance, right? How can I master diet and lifestyle? How can I master communication? How can I master my imagination? How can I master my mind? And I just obsessed about that stuff, man. And then when you open one book, it tells you to read another book, and then you meet a mentor, then they tell you go to this mentor, and it keeps exploding. And I've always been the one to jump first, right? We're doing an event, I'm the first one to sign up, right? Where you tell me to read a book, by the time you finish saying it, I've already typed it into my phone and I bought it, right? Just being a sponge and always learning and growing.
Who are those mentors for you? Who are those people that you are trying to get your inspiration from? Is it like the David Goggins of the world?
Let me name some people that were instrumental. So Mike Ferry, learned a lot from him in real estate. Kevin Ward at a time, I was a part of his stuff. He's a real estate coach as well. And I'll give shout outs to other people too. Anthony Robbins, fantastic.
Yeah,
Went to,
amazing.
Paid a lot of money to be like first 5 or 6 rows at some of his events, like Unleash the Power Within. Fantastic
been there.
dude. Yeah.
Love it.
I was there with like all the celebrities. And what I noticed is some of the celebrities showed up and then within 30 minutes they leave and they never show up again, just to say, oh, I went to Anthony Robbins events. Won't name names, but I saw a few like that. I was like, come on, bro. Like, you really just came here for like a PR stunt? Give me a fucking break, you know? I looked at study of social dynamics, like Mystery. The Mystery Method is a great book if you've never read it.
I have not.
On social dynamics, on men and women, interrelationships, interactions, communication, the dating world, what works, what doesn't. Blew my top off because it goes so deep into teaching us how we were wired thousands of years ago to mate in the way that we do. Yeah. Right?
There's been jealousy, envy, insecurities.
And now modern world, they're trying to change it. And we're seeing what's happening in the culture where all this nonsense is coming out and a lot of people are opposing it. Like, I've been very vocal about it. It's gotten me shunned online and basically deplatformed, but a lot of people agree with me. The vast majority of people agree with me, right? That's directly tied to that element I just spoke about, I believe, because we're trying to change something. It just is. Yeah. It just is.
Parenting styles, like, I'm too hard,
right?
You're too soft.
Yeah, and I'm the type that I would be okay going through that for the betterment of the child, personally, right? Because if I have to deal with something that I don't like, but it's for the betterment of the child, I'll do it. Because to me, when we talk purpose too, I know a lot shifts and your purpose changes when you have a child, for sure. Because now you want to give them the world. You want to teach them everything you were never taught, give them the things that you never had, and build them into a better version of you so that they live a great life.
Absolutely.
So to me, at that point, I can understand why somebody would sacrifice so much for a child, because I can relate to that. Like, that makes sense. If you want to shut people up or get people off your back, be successful. When you're mega successful, everybody zips it. Because now, even from society's standpoint, even if your success is different, right? When your parents know you're good, they'll leave you alone, because that's really the concern, right? We think that they don't want us to succeed and all this, but it's really, they just want to make sure you're safe and you're good because you're a little boy, gonna make sure you're okay.
Oh yeah.
And the moment you've demonstrated to them, I'm good, then they'll back off.
Yeah, 100%.
They look at their weaknesses or what they lack. Yeah. I did the opposite. I started saying, okay, when I look at an opportunity, let me look at what I do bring to the table. Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah. Failed basketball career. Right. But very disciplined. I show up first. I leave last. I'm a fucking student. I'll sit in the front. Right. And when I looked at real estate, I was like, this is it. Right. Don't know anything about it. Never done sales. Don't even own a suit. But right here, I line up with this thing. I learn it. I'll go through the little process of sucking and all that, like most people do. Yeah. I'll kill it with this. The second piece to that is you have to go out there and live life. Yeah. Everyone's stuck behind their phones and at home on the couch. Oh yeah. So when I was going through this phase, finding real estate, I started contacting friends and people that I know and reaching out to people who were doing entrepreneurial things. Right. But that's where life is. Yeah. Right. If you're doing that, you don't have time to be fucking depressed and do all this stuff because you're not sitting there wallowing in your own misery. Yeah. You're out there locking horns with life. Right. Yeah. And I think that's the key takeaway that I got was once I started doing that and taking that step and getting out there, all the depression and all that shit wiped away because now I'm focused and I'm actively building my future versus sitting there in the moment complaining about stuff and dwelling on the past. I would just say people need to have a basic discipline in their life of start with an hour. I'm going to do an hour with me every day. Yeah. Walk for 30 minutes with no phone and fresh air for 30 minutes. And I'm going to read a book about a subject that I'm interested in to help me get past this or learn something. Yeah. Right. And you start building on it now, like every day for me, that's 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, right? Working out, reading, and like I relish in that. And if I sit there and do nothing like I used to, I'm like, I can't do this shit. Like I got to do something, right? Just like me traveling and speaking. I love this. Yeah. This is great. That's built brick by brick, like you've heard the saying, right? Yeah. Brick by brick. And when people analyze their day, especially for the people who are in a rut, you realize you do nothing. You sit there for hours with this daydream about it being negative and bad and it's not going to get better. Well, if that's the bulk of your time, that's going to be your reality.
Yeah.